We are about to jump into this session where we're going to talk about how to optimize your performance.
A broken collarbone, 4 broken ribs, a concussion, laceration. I thought, there is no way.
What's that barrier you're facing today? That wall you just can't seem to break through. Or maybe it's not a wall, but you just feel stuck. You're just spinning your wheels. You can't get any traction. What if you were to learn that success in either one of those, the traction or the specific breakthrough, wasn't dependent upon some magic formula or some guru's secret, but was in the research? I've spent 35 plus years studying the cognitive and physiological strategies that lead to that optimization across a multitude of arenas. And what we're going to do today is we're going to dig into that, what a lot of people think is old, boring, hard to read, hard to access research, and pull out the practical pieces. Pull out the stuff that we can use to create that breakthrough, to get unstuck. Habituate. What I mean by that, because you're giving them all the information, but turning it into action is a little bit different. Habituate, it means we're moving from what I do to who I am. You hear the difference? What I do is my list, my checklist. I need to use mental toughness to do this. It's a thing that's not natural to me. But as we move towards who I am, everything changes. It doesn't require mental toughness to do something that you are. It requires a lot of mental toughness to do something that you do. So helping your clients move from what I do to who I am is a very, very powerful process. Let me hear you right. You're saying that if I can help them enhance their mental toughness, more of them will turn intention into reality? Folks, I'm not saying that. The research is saying that. Where do we go from here? How can I take this desire to be more, to do more, to have my spreadsheet here, but perform here in a practical way? Anytime you go into a callousing opportunity, you have a choice. You can callous and take advantage of that and fill up that bank account, or you can cringe. And when you cringe, you create a leakage. So yeah, you're still doing the long run, you're still out there, but you're not garnering the benefits that you normally would. If you approach a thing, so whatever it is that's in front of you, if you see it as a challenge instead of a threat, your cardiac output actually improves. So every pump of your heart is giving you more value for the money. Every pump, because you view it as a challenge instead of a threat. And then what's called the TPR, your peripheral resistance, actually expands. So not only is the heart giving you a little bit more, your body's letting it go through. So you're getting more productivity out of every single pump because we see it as a challenge versus a threat.
This person ever to complete the endurance trifecta.
Goals are the what. They get the headlines. We do that for our work, we do that for our personal stuff, we do it New Year's, we do it for our athletic pursuits. Goals get the headlines. They're the what. But they're not the place to start. Don't rush out of here and get after the goals. Now, there's been some talk about starting with why lately. A lot of press on this, a lot of good books on this. It's a good concept. But that's not where you want to start either. Where you want to start is the who. The who is creating that clear personal vision, making certain you know who is that person I want to become over the next year, over the next 6 months. The who. Once that's established, once that's clear in your mind, the why and the what, it's just dotting I's and crossing T's. So as you walk out of here today, instead of rushing into the goals, put a pause button. Hold off, put that why over here in the periphery, and today, let's start with who. Thank you.
For booking information, please contact the person who provided this video.
My PhD research focused on the topic of mental toughness. Now, mental toughness is pretty interesting because we tend to put it over on a person or a type of person. We tend to think of mental toughness as belonging to a Green Beret or an NFL middle linebacker or maybe the waitress that helped your mother-in-law at dinner last night. But the problem with that is when we put it on them, so they have mental toughness and I don't, we give ourselves a free pass. We let ourselves off the hook. Because if that's something they have and I don't, well, you can't expect me to do it. That's not reasonable. So I get a pass. Folks, our research showed something very different. It showed us clearly mental toughness is much more about mental, the cognitive strategies that you apply, than it is the toughness piece. And that's what we're going to dive into today. One of our early studies, pretty fascinating, we looked at 13 elite masters runners, and we looked at this exact concept. So we looked to see, is mental toughness just something you have or you don't? Is it a trait, like eye color, personality trait, those kinds of things? Or does it vary? Does it change? And you can see on the slide up here, all kinds of variability. These elite masters runners, they didn't just have it. It varied. It was up one day, down the next. Up 1 hour, down the next. Fascinating outcomes. And obviously, when you see that kind of variability, it's a huge encouragement to us because it means there are answers. There's some precursor in almost every case. When you see this kind of variability, there's almost always a precursor that leads to that, some kind of optimization that leads you down that path that we can all apply. So that gets pretty exciting. And what we did do in the second part of the study was we looked at those optimizers. We looked to see what created that upside of the variability. And that's where the FMT triad came from. And that's the model you see up here behind us. The FMT triad, let me just walk you through it, because I think it's relatively straightforward. It's pretty simplistic that you can bring it out of here and apply it to, frankly, anything, personal, professional, whatever it is you're trying to do, you can apply this. So right in the middle, you see the FMT. It's FMT bank, if you will. Now, FMT stands for functional mental toughness. Now, why functional mental toughness instead of just mental toughness? Simple. We wanted to emphasize the purposeful nature of it. Again, getting away from the concept that mental toughness is just flowing all the time. It's not. You use it in critical moments. You might go a whole day without needing mental toughness, but when you need it, you want to be able to draw on it. So the functional piece is focused on that purposeful nature. Now, the bank idea, this is really important too, because the bank of functional mental toughness is very similar to your bank account. You want to do 3 things with your bank account, I'm guessing. First of all, you want to fill it up as much as you can. You want to get as much into that bank account as you can. Second thing is you want to limit the leakage. You don't want to get your bank statement at the end of the month and find out you had some $12 charge, not a purchase, not an investment, just some charge. That's leakage. And then lastly, when you need to access that bank account, you want to be able to get to it. It doesn't help to have this big bank account sitting over here if you can't get into it. Functional mental toughness bank is the exact same thing. We want to try to create as much of that as we can. Again, you're not using it all the time. It's something you're going to use in those critical moments. We want to fill up that account as much as possible. Secondly, we want to make sure we're limiting the leakage. Fascinating concept. I'll touch on one example of this here in a second, but that is critical. And so much of our mental toughness gets leaked into things we don't need to use it for. It's not necessary. So let's not waste it. And then lastly, when you need it for that big, again, critical moment, how do we get it? So let me walk you through that. You can see the 3 aspects of the triad up here are thrive, prepare, and activate. Now, the thrive, it's foundational well-being. It's wellness. Now, with wellness, we tend to think the long-term play. We tend to think on a personal level, well, if I do this and this and this, then 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, X will happen. It's a good thing to do now, but I'm really doing it for way down here. Or maybe in your organization, maybe you have a wellness program and you're thinking, if we do a good job with this, if people are engaged, if it's a meaningful program, then a couple years from now, we'll have a decrease in medical claims. We'll have a decrease in sick time or turnover. And those are all true. Like wellness, we know that from the research. It's absolutely true. But what we found in our research was fascinating in that, yes, that happens, but the potentially most valuable aspect when it comes to health and well-being is the now. You want to optimize your mental toughness? You want to optimize your chance for that breakthrough, that traction? Start with Thrive. Like, there's a huge opportunity to drive that to the upper levels of what it can be and fill up that bank account. The second thing is prepare. And prepare, I love the prepare section because there's so many tools you can use here. Let me give you one, and that's callousing. If you're an athlete, you use callousing all the time. Example, you're a runner. Then you do a long run, once a week, once every 10 days, whatever it might be. And that's to callous your body for whatever event you have coming up, but you're creating that callousing opportunity. Now, if you were a fly on the wall and you heard a runner talking about their long run and they said something like, oh, man, I've got to do my long run today, you would probably think to yourself, ooh, this is not going to go real well. And you'd be right, because what they've done there is anytime you go into a callousing opportunity, you have a choice. You can callous and take advantage of that and fill up that bank account, or you can cringe. And when you cringe, you create a leakage. So yeah, you're still doing the long run, you're still out there, but you're not garnering the benefits that you normally would. Now, easy for us to say that about somebody else. What if we pull the mirror up? What if you have a coworker that, frankly, you don't like working with very much? Now, don't look at anybody, it's too obvious right now. But let's say that coworker's name is Joe. And you have a committee meeting tomorrow, and you and Joe are both in that meeting. And you have a choice. But before you think about that choice, I want you to realize, and hopefully I'm not the first one to tell you this, but Joe's not the only tough coworker you're ever going to have. You're always going to have a tough coworker. You're always going to have a tough client. You're probably always going to have a tough family member. And by the way, if you're not seeing that in one of those settings, you might be Joe. But the key to this is we want to go in callousing. We don't want to go in cringing. If you go in, again, callousing opportunity, you go into that committee meeting and you say, all right, I've got an opportunity here to callous. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to listen. I'm going to engage. I'm still probably not going to come out of there best friends with Joe, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to understand his point of view. I'm going to try to see what we can make out of this. And worst case scenario, you build callousing, which will help you with the next Joe. It'll help you with the next time with this Joe, and it'll help you in other Joe opportunities. So again, callous or cringe, you choose. Maybe an easy way to think of it is, I've got to, or I get to. Subtle difference, massive in terms of the outcomes. Now, the last one is activate. Activate is when the lights go on, it's go time, the critical moment hits in that race or that meeting or that event or that pursuit, and you need it. Your physiology takes you to here, and you want to get that extra 3%. Activate your chance to do that. Again, a lot of tools we can talk about here. Let me give you one, and that's self-talk. We did a really interesting research study pretty recently, actually, on 3 runners who did a series of 800-meter runs. 800 meters is 2 laps of the track. And they would go out and run it as fast as they possibly could, and then they have a couple days off, and they come back and do it again. And they did about 11 or 12 of these over a 10, 12-week period. And after about 4 of them, once we had a baseline set, we gave them a personalized self-talk strategy. Now, before I give you the outcome of that, I want to come back to one of the other established performance enhancers, and that's caffeine. We know very well it's the most powerful performance-enhancing drug there is that's legal. And on average, it gives you, if you're not adapted to it, if you're not drinking coffee every day, you'll get about a 2.4% improvement in your performance with that caffeine. These 3 runners in the 800, once they were given this personalized self-talk strategy, improved 2, 3, and 4 times that of caffeine. Folks, self-talk matters, and it matters a lot. Now, I could do a full 3-day workshop on self-talk. There's a lot of stuff with that. Let me give you 3 basic starting points. The first one is to reflect. What are you currently doing? Let's not worry about what to use. What are you doing now? So think through, next time you're in that critical moment, next time that thing hits you, ponder, reflect, think, what? Oh, okay. And then from that baseline, we can build on it. And again, a lot of different self-talk tools. 2 out of the gate basic ones you can start with is instructional and motivational. And they're just like they sound. If you're a runner, the instructional might be something like push off that first toe, drive with the arms. Motivational is your more traditional, come on, Coop, you got this, you can do this, buddy. Now, you're going to mix and match them. Some people do better with motivational. Some people do better with the instructional. Some people, certain situations, one. I don't know. What is yours? And that's what you're trying to find out. So try these out. Play with them. Mess around with them. See what helps you and what doesn't. And then the third step is practice it. That study with the elite masters runners, they told us, I get it. I know self-talk matters. I know it makes a difference. And I forget to do it on race day. Folks, all this reflection and practice and trying to, doesn't help if you don't automate it. You need to automate it for those critical moments. So practice is the third step. So we have thrive, we have prepare, we have activate. That feeds that functional mental toughness bank, and it drives that opportunity to either create the breakthrough or get that traction you're looking for.
For booking information, please contact the person who provided this video.